Welcome back to the RaceGuru Thunder Hour, kicking off 2026 as we head to Daytona. I'm yours truly, Rich Maletto, joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend, the guy behind the curtain, in front of the curtain this week. Well, every week here on the RaceGuru Thunder Hour, Sean Engel. Please give Sean a follow on Twitter at SeanE247. Remember, that's SEAN, the fun short way to spell Sean. Sean, we are back. NASCAR is back, man. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're back and ready to get it on rolling here, man.
Hey, we have cars on the track this week. It may not have gone off flawlessly. I know not everybody was entertained. I was entertained. It's always fun to see the cars back on the track. I'm a little pissed off at Fox because I didn't get to see the last 30 laps. That's a sidebar, but whatever. But seeing cars out there, I don't care that it was raining and sleet. I say send it, boys. So that was fun to see. And, hey, we got to give a shout out to the folks that let us do this RaceGuru Thunder Hour, right, Sean? So big shout out to the Elite Plus Network that brings you this along with fantasyguru.com. Please head over to fantasyguru.com. Click on the subscribe button. Check out all the different packages. Sean, you want to hit us with some of the packages and specials we got going on?
Yeah, so as usual, we got all our different package options, MVP, Platinum, VIP, all in. All these different packages, you can find them on fantasyguru.com. They will get you the content to all different kinds of sports. But we do also have other individual specialized things right now, too. As of right now, we're recording this before the Super Bowl. You could still get in to the NFL Super Bowl guide right now in order to get you all prepped up for this weekend's action in the Super Bowl between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots right there. So fun times to be had, money to be made. Go ahead and get that guide at Fantasy Guru. And the MLB draft guide is available over there too. So you can see all the different content that is being developed by the Oracle himself, Ray Flowers, and the rest of the MLB crew over there for one nice price, covers you for the entire MLB season. So there you go.
Hey, and Ray Flowers, Patio Joe, the boys over there, they really hit the ball out of the park. And hey, got to give a shout out to our guy, Jorge Pox. He likes to jump in every now and again and do some NASCAR stuff. And Jorge does an amazing job over there on the NFL stuff. So if you like the racing package or the stuff we do with the racing, the package that gets you our stuff at the racing, you can get everything except for football and baseball. Now, we recommend the football and baseball. That's our bread and butter. But we give you everything else for a nice low price for the whole year. I recommend checking out. It'll cover you 12 months. So from here on out, the start of next season's hockey, basketball, all of this year's racing, the whole 9 yards. So give that a shot. And hey, if you're not seeing something that matches for you, reach out to support at fantasyguru.com and just tell them what you're looking for. Give them an idea what your budget is. And hey, whisper sweet nothings because Ted likes that.
Yeah. Or, even if it's not just Ted, sometimes Rusty is there too. And even
this is true.
You might even, if you're
Jeff,
lucky, be able to hear from the man himself.
That's right. Jeff over there. So anyway, well, Sean, we got a lot to cover because I'm sure you've been paying attention. I was going to say, I don't know if you've been paying attention. No, you've been paying attention. Between the lawsuit that we touched on last year, but we didn't really cover it, that got put to rest. But that really led to some big changes, whether that, at first glance, it seemed like NASCAR started to finally realize that the fans were very disappointed. And this was an opportunity to kind of rein it back in. And I want to give a major shout out to Mark Martin and Dale Jr. I don't think we're where we're at today with some of these rule changes we're going to discuss, Sean, without those two gentlemen. And
yes,
I think old-time NASCAR fans and new-time NASCAR fans owe a big, big thank you and a load of respect for those two gentlemen because they have remained firm in their stance and their takes. They haven't succumbed to, getting in the weeds with people. They've taken the high road across everything. And quite frankly, the sport, I am more excited about this season than I thought I would be, Sean. At the end of last season, I was not sure how excited I would be for the 2026 season, and I can't lie. I still think I wouldn't say long ways away from where I think we should be or need to be, but boy, I got to tell you, Sean, we made some huge strides, and I'm excited. I don't know that everything's going to work out as well as we hoped. I don't know if 750 horsepower is enough. I don't know if it's enough at where we're going, but we'll dig into all that. There is a lot to be excited about.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Overall consensus you could say is that this is a step in the right direction.
Yep.
Really, just steps. And you know what? It all starts with the big announcement that they made, where they finally said we're changing the playoff format finally, and the chase is back. So we got the chase format right in with this brand new season. So for those that aren't familiar with the chase format, basically think of the playoff format a little bit as we have it now, but get rid of the knockouts entirely. There's only one whole reset that we're dealing with, and that happens at the very beginning of the chase. Final 10 races of the season, top 16 in points. Best at the end of those last 10 races in the point standings after that reset is the champion. Nice and simple, easy to understand. That's how it
One
should.
big I agree. And one big caveat or change, I think that I don't know if it's being talked about enough, that I think will change things a little bit, because everyone's like, well, we're not going to have the chaos, the win in you're in stuff. I'm okay with that. I thought that really, maybe it upped the drama, but it was manufactured drama. And I think people were getting frustrated because look, the other people that say that, oh, the point system isn't what led to Austin Dillon doing what he did at Richmond, I disagree. Denny Hamlin disagrees. Austin Dillon disagrees. Anyone that pays attention, I think, disagrees. Anyone who says it wasn't the case, I think they were just being a mouthpiece trying to front that, they don't change how they drive when something like that's on the line. But the increase in points for the winner, the bonus points for the winner, if you will, those points are going to be huge. We tried this many, many years ago, back when the point system still was the 180 point scale, I'll call it, for lack of a better term. Well, giving 15 points or 25 points when you're giving someone 180 to begin with doesn't move the needle much. But when you do the 25 points and the normal winner was at 40 points, that's significant. So now those wins can offset the DNFs, which wasn't the case under the old system. So there's still a big incentive to win, in my opinion. It's just not a guarantee to the playoffs. I'm hoping that means we don't see some of this stupid driving we saw at the end of these races. That's something that I think is crucial. It's real simple, like you said. We're going to have a regular season, 26 races, and then a postseason, and let them go. And I loved what Mark Martin said about that. We were never going to go from what we did to 36 races, but going from a chase to 36 races is much more plausible. I think Mark Martin and Junior both agree that we'd rather have the 36 race deal. That's where I fall. But I'm okay with a compromise, Sean. I am fine with this. I was never a big fan of the chase back when, but I will gladly take this over some of the nonsense we had the last few years.
Yeah, and really, I think if you're going to force a playoff format for NASCAR, I feel like this is the way to go about it, really, because you do get the best of both worlds. You get those that want to have a postseason format that are used to that. There are some newer fans out there that do prefer the playoff formats out there, Rich. It is true. I mean, I don't agree with it personally. I still would rather go back to a full season points format more than anything, but I think if you have to have one, then by all means,
agreed.
Kind of like this.
And NASCAR basically said they were mandating a reset, whether that was TV driven or not. I'm not going to speak to. I have some theories, but I don't know. The problem I have with the whole format, and you and I were talking about it before the show, we're going to watch the Super Bowl this weekend. We know for a fact no Eagles or Broncos player is going to run on the field and sack Drake May out of the blue just because. You got a 16 teams in the playoffs for the 10 races. There's still 24 other drivers out there. And they're in the way, they're bumping, they're beating, they're doing things too. They have sponsors to answer to. So I don't like how we compare with the stick and ball, but I'm with you. We were going to get a reset. And if you're going to mandate there has to be a reset, fine. I'll go with this, but I still say hogwash overall. But I'm excited. We're going to get 26 races. I think it's a more natural way to find a champion. I don't think it's going to be fluky. So let's have at it, man.
Yeah, 100% agree. How about we also have at it and talk a little bit more about the horsepower increase right there? All road courses and tracks that are lower than 1.5 miles we're getting a bump up from 670 horsepower to 750 horsepower. So they're changing this around with all the cars starting this season on those particular track types. So this is something in order to hopefully encourage more passing, more driver control, more throttle control, just kind of encourage just a little bit more action and hopefully make some of these races on these shorter tracks and road courses a little more interesting is the goal that they're trying to have.
The drivers aren't always right, but this is something the drivers have been begging for the last 2 years. And this car has absolutely destroyed short track racing. My fear is it's not enough. But again, to your point, Sean, we're going to have to make compromises. If we get through the first 3 to 4 short tracks and we don't see a difference, or we see a moderate difference, I will be shocked if we don't hear about another upgrade coming, maybe to 800, maybe to 850, something like that. I personally think 850 on the short tracks is where we need to be, somewhere near 850 to 900. Where do I come up with that number? Because I'm not an engineer. When you go back 5-10 years ago, that's the horsepower these cars were kicking out all the time. So, I mean, they were starting to push 1,000. They weren't there, but they were north of 900. So if we can get into that 850 plus range, I do think we'll see some, because I don't know that people talk about this enough. Some of the drivers have, but the ability to downshift since we've gone to the 5 gear shifter, the sequential shifter with 5 gears instead of 4. If you mess up corner entry, see, the whole thing with oval driving is carrying momentum. You would see it if you go to the track and watch lap times. Let's say a guy messed up on turn 4, fought through it. That particular lap time might only be a smidge off, but because it killed the speed going into the next turn, that also potentially killed some of the speed coming off exit at 2 and into the next turn. That whole lap would be jeopardized. Well, with the ability to downshift, they can kind of mask a mistake, right? They could jack up going in and say, shoot, I just got to downshift, get some horsepower under me or some torque under me, and I can get a better launch and I can hold my own. And Joey Logano talked about that specifically at Martinsville and why it was so much more difficult to pass, because you didn't have to really carry that momentum. You could mess up and overdrive the car, and you had the ability to kind of fix that. I don't know if we even go up to 850 that changes. This is where I'm really curious, Sean, because I don't know what 850, 900 horsepower looks like with a 5-gear transmission. And I don't know that it's going to look much different than 750 or 675. I don't know. The drivers know, or theoretically would know, that they're saying it would be. So we'll see. Boy, Sean, you know I love my short tracks, man. I just want them back, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully this is at least a step towards getting the right direction. We keep saying steps a lot, but really it's a lot of little changes that we got to keep working on to eventually get there.
I'll quote, what about Bob? Baby steps. Baby steps. We're getting baby steps. I'm okay with it because at least they're not backward steps, which is all we've done for probably the last 3 years, if you ask me, 5 years.
Yeah, there could be a valid case for that. Really, there could be.
So I'll take the baby steps, Sean. You know me. I'm kind of a Debbie Downer, but I'm more with you on this stuff. I'm getting excited, and I'm willing to – let's see what happens. I'm not going to be a negative Nancy on all this. Cautiously optimistic, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's the perfect stance to take with this, because we still haven't seen enough racing in order to know for sure if it's going to be the biggest impact yet, but – even so, that the fact that they're at least trying something, that
the fact they're
is a good suggestion. And listening, it counts for something.
Yeah, because remember, what was it about 8-9 months ago? What did NASCAR come out and say? No, horsepower is completely off the table, never happening. Remember that was the stance. So, and what does that do for North Wilkesboro? We'll talk about North Wilkesboro later in the show too, but that's a very unique track, short track. And that is one where I think the momentum, not having to fight the momentum like Martinsville, was kind of interesting. We didn't see a lot of passing in the all-star race. So I think that's going to be an interesting track to see. Martin, I think the test for this package, Sean, and feel free to correct me, I don't know we'll see as much of an impact at Phoenix, but if there is an impact, we should see it at Martinsville. That's the race I've got circled to really judge this package.
Yeah, I do think Martinsville and to a smaller extent Bristol are
Agreed.
definitely what I have in mind with that.
Yep. Yep, same here. Again, Bristol's a little different. They've run a different package there. It's high bank, that sort of stuff. But I do agree with you. I think those are the two tracks that are really going to tell us. And the thing is if it helps, the track that's probably going to see the most impressive increase or the better racing from it would be Loudon. With it being that flat mile track, it used to put on some really good shows, Sean. So if this works, maybe the magic comes back to the Magic Mile.
Ooh, I'd like to see some magic.
Or maybe Richmond turns back into the excitement track again.
Ooh, the action track? Would be nice to see some actual action,
At the action track.
Yeah, agreed with that. But, speaking of action, there is increased action in the lower series for this season, particularly within the participation guidelines being updated there, Rich. We got some real interesting changes that are coming into effect this season, such as the fact that now they lowered the age requirement for the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. Now they used to make it so you had to be basically 18 in order to compete on all types of events.
Kyle Busch rule.
Yeah, but now on certain types of tracks, such as road courses and some of the smaller ovals, the ones that are about 1.25 miles or shorter, basically you can be 17 in order to drive those now in the O'Reilly series. So that's definitely different right there too.
Trucks too, right?
Trucks, I think, already had that rule in place. They're just expanding it to O'Reilly now.
To the O'Reilly series. Which we should cover, in case people are like, what are you talking about? The Xfinity series is now the O'Reilly series. So you're going to see some new abbreviations because it's actually called, what do they call it? The O'Reilly.
The O'Reilly Auto Parts series?
Yes. I was going to say, because I keep seeing it took me a while, but I kept seeing the 4-letter acronym for it. And I'm like, what are they talking about? I was like, oh, that's the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. So I'll have to look for what that acronym is. But if you start seeing some weird abbreviations, that's why.
OAPS. OAPS is what I've been seeing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
There's that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. They did this last year, right? But there is no rookie stripe still, correct?
I don't believe that. I believe the rookie stripes are still gone.
Okay.
That hasn't changed from the last year. But something else regarding participation that is the number of races that Cup drivers can take in the lower series now, too.
But there was a stipulation on driving in the chase, though, correct?
Yeah, you cannot drive in any of the chase races if you're a Cup driver in the lower series. And also for the O'Reilly series, particularly, you cannot participate in the Dash for Cash races.
That's right. I thought for some reason they had a loophole that some of the younger drivers could drive even in the chase races. There was some weird rule I read on it, and I was so confused I gave up on it.
Well, the whole thing is that if you don't have more than 3 years of full-time Cup experience, then there is no limit for you theoretically.
That's
for
what
how
it
many
was.
Races you can participate in, but you are still limited in the types of races you can enter.
Okay. Can I give a little small applause for that? I think that was smart. Letting those with less than 3 years experience race as much in the other series as they want. You're not allowing them practice time, which hat tip to Jeff Burton for calling that out, pushing for practice time. I don't usually agree with the mayor Burton much, but I got to give him props on that. I think people might be asking why I'm so excited about it. I think it's going to increase the product on the track. I think giving these guys Ty Gibbs, for example, looked good this past week. And we've been seeing him come on. We talked a lot about him at the end of last year, right, Sean? I think his learning curve was stunted a little bit because of the limitations of how much extra seat time he can get. We talk about in our articles all the time. We love the double dipping guys. Anytime you get extra seat time, I don't care if it's a different car, it helps.
The only thing is, Rich, though, is that this rule has been in place for a little while, actually.
It has?
Rule. Yeah, it has.
So why? Well, then shame on me and shame on Ty Gibbs.
Ty Gibbs just in particular wasn't taking enough advantage of it himself or getting the opportunities. But you did see someone like Carson Hocevar definitely take advantage of this. And Hocevar, because this is the last year that he can actually do this before he's hit the 3-year limit now. He's in 13 different truck races scheduled for this season. So
good for him. And hey, I suppose we should give him props on the long-term deal that's going to take him to the next decade with Spire. I don't care who the team is. I don't think that's a good idea with anybody. There is so much of this. I tell you what, that tells me Spire sees Hocevar much like Junior was talking about the comparisons with Dale Sr. But I tell you what, we don't typically get contracts like that in NASCAR, Sean.
Especially from a team like Spire, they
Right.
don't usually do really long-term stuff like this. So they are huge believers in Hocevar's talent.
And he must be huge believers in them because now maybe 5 years from now, Sean, we're talking about the Spire team being Hendrick, right? I mean, but I got to tell you, I mean, if you would have said, would you join RCR, back in the 90s, I'd been all over it. Nowadays, not so much, right? 4 years ago, I don't think people were all excited to be with Hendrick, right? Now it's all about Hendrick and Gibbs, so hey, it's not my contract. It's not my money. It's not my life. I like watching Hocevar. I get why people are bothered by him, but I like to remind folks, man, nobody liked Earnhardt. He ran over people too. And I don't like it all the time, and I'll call it out when I think it's crappy racing. But hey, if the man's happy and he's competitive, and he was competitive last year. He had top end speed throughout the year. So, maybe he's being loyal like Kyle Larson. I don't know, if Kyle Larson today would agree with Kyle Larson of yesteryears where he was loyal to Chip Ganassi now that he knows what it's like to be in top tier equipment and win races on a regular basis. But, Hocevar's kind of young and dumb still. No offense, Hocevar. We've been there, but I still think you're young and dumb, buddy.
Yeah, he's still in his early 20s, so he's still got a lot of growing he can do.
Yeah.
So there is that. There are a few other competition changes that were made. Rich, do you want to go over any of those, or should we skip towards talking about the schedule updates here? Because there's still a lot.
Why don't you hit it? Why don't you hit the highlights, man? I'll shut my mouth. You hit the highlights, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so basically there were a few other changes made, such as the OEM provisionals. Basically, that's manufacturer provisionals. They updated this year because of the truck series with them getting a new manufacturer in Ram returning with Kaulig Racing right there. So now we got ourselves another manufacturer, but that basically allows it. So there's a total of 4 OEM provisionals. These are manufacturer provisionals that can be provided to a new vehicle for the first 3 events if the vehicle has not earned a starting position through normal means. So this adds extra cars basically for those races if needed right there.
One caveat, they cannot get purse money if they use that provisional.
Yep. But it makes it so it's technically possible that the truck races within these first 3 events could be fields of up to 40 if these trucks do not qualify.
It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. Other than that, we also have updates towards the lug nut penalties that are going into effect this season, where basically you're still getting penalized for it in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series and the truck series if you still do not get the lug nuts improperly secured. One lug nut not secured means that the team will lose pit selection for the next event. Second one is when the fine comes in, and then you get 1 crew suspension. The third, 3 lug nuts not properly tightened on the pit by the pit crew means the fines increase. And then basically a second crew member gets suspended for another race. And then if you have 4 or more, well, you definitely do not want that because now you're disqualified from the entire race. Your result, whoop, gone.
Whoa. So what happens if the one lug nut's not secured on the cup cars?
Well, then you see what we've seen what happens if you don't have your lug nut secure in cup. You're just gonna crash and end up not having a good result. That's about as bad as any penalty right
I
there.
know, but I mean, I guess in my opinion, it's like I feel like they should be disqualified. If we're gonna say the 4 disqualify, I feel like if you lose the 1, you should be disqualified. At the same time, I hate the 1. It's a pain in the ass that doesn't go on right. We see it we've had it for 3 years now, and we've had the same problems pop up. So whatever.
Oh man. Other changes include the adjustments towards the fastest lap point. It's the same thing as last year, where they do give a point towards the driver that earns the fastest overall lap. But the one difference is that if you end up going to the garage through the damaged vehicle policy and then come back out, you're not eligible to earn that fastest lap award anymore. Even if you end up setting a lap that's technically faster than that time, you will not be credited for it.
We'll call it the Kyle Larson rule.
Yeah, because Kyle Larson took advantage of that. Then we also have the waiver changes, where basically that's not much really that different from last year. But if you do basically get a waiver for anything other than a NASCAR initiated or approved absence, then any driver that makes the chase with a waiver automatically starts with the lowest amount of possible points based on their series. So,
which I like. I mean, the bottom line is, I'll give you an example. When Chase Elliott got suspended, right? Getting the waiver and having the wins the way they didn't really impact too much where he was in the championship format standings. Now he would be at the bottom, right? Same thing if I imagine same thing if he broke his leg again, right? Like, here's the kicker. Now you're not going to get the points for those races, and you're out of winning to get in is a problem. And it's not just qualifying in the top 35. So if you miss events now, you're not going to get the points, which means you really got to do something well if you're going to somehow limp in at 15th and 16th or something after missing 2 races. So I feel like this almost makes missing a race very big deal. Kyle Larson at Indy.
Yeah, but I think more so about the Austin Hill case from O'Reilly last year.
Because that's an example.
I think that's the example that would fit better in this circumstance, and not like the Chase Elliott example, because that's an injury. The injuries they usually approve more so than just getting suspended.
Well, he got suspended too.
Oh, right. The other instance when he did hook Hamlin that one race.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I said the injuries, though, still, he missed 4 races. How's he get those points back? Even if they grant him the waiver.
Well, it just basically means that when the reset happens, though, instead of starting based on where you finished the regular season, you're just starting at the bottom instead.
Right. But what I'm saying is, how is he actually going to get enough points to be 16th if he misses 4 races? Do you follow me?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying
it's more complicated.
That's why I say I think the waiver thing is less of an issue now, because it's not like they go, you're injured. We gave you a waiver. The driver who's subbing for you, you get those points. The car will for the manufacturer's championship, right? Or the team championship. But whoever's that injured driver wouldn't. So all the people that were, stumping their nose about the Kyle Busch flukiness, when he hurt himself and got the waiver and barely limped in 35th and all that, I don't think that's going to be a topic anymore. We're going to see if a driver gets hurt, it's going to be huge news, in my opinion. Because I don't know, if you're in the top 5 or 6 and miss a race or 2, I could see you still getting 16th. But if you're 10th or back and you miss a couple of races, Sean, boy, that's going to be tough to make that up.
Oh, yeah. Especially if it gets towards the late parts of the season when points are especially going to be crucial.
And quickly, what they do to the past champions provisional? I was confused on that one.
So this is specifically for the truck series. They still use the past champions provisional there, basically to get any past champions a spot into the race. But now they have expanded on it and made it also a past winners provisional if there's no previous champions that are eligible. So now, instead of it just being only champions, now you can have a past winner. Like, say, for example, they don't end up qualifying in if there's more than, 36 entries for trucks right there. if you got that, and basically the person that did not make it through qualifying is a past winner of the event and there's no past champions, then they can get that spot and be in over the next open car that they did not beat.
What that tells me is they're looking to get some past cup winners down in the truck series that don't race on a regular basis, is what that screams to me.
Well, past truck series winners, particularly.
Oh, it's got to be just the truck series winners.
Yeah.
Corey Heim.
Exactly. Gotta have some Heim time.
But he's a champion anyway. So.
Yeah, that is that.
Well, let's hit the schedule, man. Now we got through the rule changes. Let's go up for the schedule because there's definitely a lot of curveballs there this year.
Oh, yeah. So we got a couple of new and returning tracks. We did talk about these a little bit as the news came along during the last season on this pod. But so we'll go through this a little quickly and consider this kind of a bit of a refresher for those that haven't kept up or just want to hear about it in one convenient spot. But we got Chicagoland Speedway coming back. That's returning for a date with the Cup and O'Reilly series in particular. The Chicago Street Course is done. And in its place, we got a street race at San Diego, but particularly Naval Base Coronado and the Cup, O'Reilly, and Truck Series are all going to have races right there. Darlington is going to be back in the O'Reilly season. Well, they already have one date, but now it's getting a second date back in O'Reilly. So there's 2 Darlington races in that series.
Ironic for a track that NASCAR tried to kill a few years ago.
Yeah. And it's still putting on some of the best racing out there, bar none.
One of the oldest tracks in the series, too. I mean, NASCAR just can't get its head out of its own ass. Let me tell you. Sorry. Oh, I like the next one though. I love the double headers they do with IndyCar, Sean.
Yeah, well, they're going to have 2 of them this year, actually, Rich. And the first one of these that they're going to be having is at St. Petersburg. Truck Series only, but it's going to be unique, a very unique show where Truck Series is going to be doing a race, and then they're going to be opening up for IndyCar over there at St. Petersburg, the road course over there. So that's going to be fun times right there, Rich.
I agree. Where's the other doubleheader?
It's going to be at Phoenix.
Ah, okay.
So 2 IndyCar races and then 2 doubleheaders right there.
And shout out to IndyCar for the free race that's going to be in downtown DC.
Yeah, the what was it called? The America 250?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I heard all about that. It basically just expanded the IndyCar season by another race right there. So,
and it's free. They're opening it up for free. So, if you're in the area, I highly recommend checking it out. It'll be 4th of July weekend.
That's going to be an interesting show.
Mm-hmm. And I love that the trucks are coming back to Dover, Sean. I love it.
Yeah, first time that the trucks were going to be at Dover since 2020. So, 6 seasons ago?
It's crazy. I'm glad. In my opinion, it's a great track for the trucks. It really is.
So these are some of the tracks that are no longer going to be raced on this season. We mentioned about the Chicago Street Course, Cup and O'Reilly. They're not going to be returning there. Instead, that's where we get Chicagoland. Mexico City is not going to be back this year. Cup and O'Reilly are not going to be there either, just because, well, they tried to get a date there, but couldn't get past the scheduling with the World Cup being in Mexico this season. So
my heart's broken.
Right there.
So broken. Whatever.
We're really just getting rid of a lot of road courses this year because the trend continues. This one's very recent that they just announced this, but all 3 series are no longer racing on the Charlotte Roval this year, and instead we got a second date on the Oval for Charlotte.
Love it. Yeah, you haven't hurt my feelings yet, Sean. Let's roll.
Then we got the O'Reilly series is no longer going to Portland.
It was a fun track, but it really screwed with travel and the weekend. I'm okay with it not. I feel bad for the folks up in that area of the country. I feel like they deserve to see a race, but I tell you what, that race just didn't do it for me, man. Turn one there was just so goofy.
It really was. Crazy calamity corner where everybody just dives bombs into each other.
Or you could just drive through, hit the stop button, and then go and win the race, Connor Zilich.
Yeah, even though he lost control, you got to look at it closely, but he did technically lose control and go off course that way.
Right.
But he made it. It's just he made it look so smooth that it was like he didn't make a mistake.
That's awesome.
Then the Truck Series is losing 2 more track dates this year at both Las Vegas and Pocono.
And you know, shout out to Pocono. The trucks never really belonged at Pocono. They didn't used to run Pocono. It was only recently they went back to Pocono. I'm okay with them not being at Pocono. I kind of wish they were at Vegas, but oh well.
Yeah, would be cool to still see them pop back up at Vegas sometime soon, but all the schedule changes. I mean, if you want to put new things you want to see in, you got to get rid of some other stuff, and sometimes we get some casualties, unfortunately.
I would say I'm very happy overall. And like I said, it was a lot of yeses, not a lot of nays on the schedule changes. So, like I said, there's been a lot of changes that I maybe it's not enough, but I dig what we're doing, Sean. The snowball's building and rolling the right direction, man.
Now, let's talk about some other event changes right here, Rich.
Sure.
I'm just going to run through these, and we'll talk about which ones that stand out to you most here. North Wilkesboro now getting a points-paying race in the Cup Series. Dover getting the All-Star race in the Cup Series. Homestead Miami being the finale for all 3 races this year. New Hampshire's moving out of the playoffs, becoming the second-to-last race of the regular season. And Watkins Glen moves out of August and into May there, Rich.
Has it been in May before, Sean?
This is the earliest it's ever been. From what
that's my concern. I don't know that I feel like it might be a little too early in the season to go there. You know, you're going to northern New York. Can be a little chilly, can be a little rainy. So I'm just kind of curious to see that. The biggest one for me, Sean, I'm so happy we're going back to Homestead for the finale. I love it. It should be good weather, should be warm. It is one of the best tracks from a racing perspective as far as the show. Love it. Couldn't be happier. Hey, man, I'm game. You know, if Dover's not going to have, I haven't looked at the full schedule. Does that mean Dover doesn't have a points race at all? Or did one of the, because we used to go there twice.
Dover does not have a points paying race at all. In fact, actually, I think I still have the schedule up here. Yeah, there we go.
Don't like that.
In case you wanted to see it for yourself, that is how the Cup schedule is looking this year.
Don't love that because Dover is a unique track. I hate getting rid of unique tracks when we have so many 1.5 miles that are similar. You know what I mean? I mean, we're going to go do the Charlotte Oval twice. We're going to do the Vegas Oval. Are we doing it twice? I don't see it a second time.
Yeah, we are doing it twice.
We're doing it twice. We're doing Darlington twice, which I have no problem with. I like North Wilkesboro getting a points-paying race. Let's see what it's got. I just hope it doesn't ruin it. But I hate the fact that we don't have a points-paying race for Dover. That is my one big knock.
Yeah, instead it's just going to be another case like back when they had North Wilkesboro as the All-Star race. The other series are getting a points-paying race there, but not Cup.
Right. But I think Dover puts on a great show. I hated when they lost the second date, if I'm being honest. I mean, and let's be real. They have one of the, if not the coolest trophy in NASCAR, it's one of.
Miles the Monster is forever an essential.
Yes.
Now, let's quickly also confirm this too and get this out of the way. We did talk about this before we got on today. The in-season challenge returns. It is back. Basically, it's very similar to how it was last year, just only the order of tracks is different. Instead, it's going to be Sonoma, Chicagoland, Atlanta, North Wilkesboro, and Indianapolis. So 2 of the tracks right there are completely different from last year, and then the order is different of the tracks. And the eligibility requirements in order to get the seating set up for this challenge is also changing too. So now, instead of there being 3 races in order to set up the seating, that's entirely gone. And instead, it's just flat out first through 32nd in points. That determines the seating.
Fair enough. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we get to it because it's probably more interesting from a betting standpoint than anything else.
Yeah, after all, last year, the one thing we can appreciate it doing was that it definitely opened up way more betting opportunities and bets available on the market that way.
Yes, yes.
But you know what, though? Let's talk about expanding here and talking about how this year we got a lot of new faces and new places for 2026. And yeah, I ended up basically on our little rundown document here having a humongous list of as many changes that I could outline and find as possible here. I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of it because there is way too many changes on here. But let's focus on what we can focus on here, Rich. And let's talk about some of the cup changes right here because that's what's going to be on most people's minds.
I would say let's focus on the cup stuff. I think you and I in our articles and cheat sheets can highlight some of the other stuff. I love that you have this in one spot, Sean, because I will be referencing this and looking back. Like you did a lot of homework, like hat tip. Let's start out with number 1 here with Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing, right? Yep. The fact you went back and brought up where he'd been before. You've heard me and you've talked about it before. It matters where these people go. So when I see that, the new crew chief for Ross Chastain is going to be Brandon McSwain, who was one of the 24 Hendrick Motorsports engineers, I think that's a big deal, Sean. I think this is going to be good news for the number 1 Trackhouse racing car. I really do.
We've talked about this for a while, Rich, about wanting to do like a show or two, maybe just diving into some of these staff changes. And now we actually got a little bit of an opportunity to do that here.
And you put some serious work in this. So I want to make sure everyone knows you put in some serious work and did some digging because this is not the easiest information to find. I mean, we can get some of the changes, but oftentimes to find the background, it's got to do a little bit more homework. So props, Sean. Thank you.
You are very welcome. And now let's have the people hear some more about this so they could also thank me too.
Yes.
So next up, we got the number 4 Front Row Motorsports team, Noah Gregson. He has a brand new crew chief this year because Drew Blickensderfer is moving to a competition role. Now, his new crew chief is Grant Hutchins, and he was a former lead race engineer at Wood Brothers Racing and also used to be an engineer and contribute towards Team Penske and RCR back in the day, too.
This could be good for Noah as well. I'm not sold on this move, but I like that Drew moved up and went up to competition. Remember, that's kind of what Chad Knaus has done, and we've seen how that's helped Hendrick overall. So I'm excited to see this work out, man. Seems to me this guy must be doing something right because Wood Brothers has been pretty good the last couple of years.
They've definitely been on the upswing a little bit more.
Yep.
And also just to mention, we talked about promotions as well. Brandon McSwain on the number 1 team for Ross Chastain, he got that role just because they're also promoting Phil Surgeon, Ross's old crew chief, into a competition role at Trackhouse right there.
Okay. Interesting.
So, just to clarify that. Next up, we have one of the very few driver changes right here. The number 7 Spire Motorsports team, they got a new driver with Daniel Suarez now in the number 7 car, replacing Justin Haley.
And honestly, he looked pretty good this past week, man. I was a little shocked, not going to lie.
Yeah, our first taste of Suarez and Spire equipment. He actually was looking pretty solid right there.
Yep, I agree. And honestly, I'm surprised Suarez didn't have a better fit at Trackhouse, considering Trackhouse is owned by Justin Marks, who has a little more road racing background. But, man, the people at Spire seem to be really excited. So, we'll see what happens with Suarez. I'm not sold that it's going to be all that, but, I mean, we heard me talk about it last year, but we'll see. I mean, the guy's won before, so it's not like he's, chopped liver.
Yeah, totally not incapable of it, that's for sure. Moving on to the number 18 with Richard Childress Racing right there. The big change with that group, that's Kyle Busch's team, is a new crew chief, Jim Pullman. He was the former number 7 Junior Motorsports crew chief in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for Justin Allgaier. He now moves up the cup with Kyle Busch and RCR there. What do you think of this one?
I'm really intrigued because JR Motorsports has really been, in my opinion, the class of the field in O'Reilly the last 2 years. And, you know, I understand that Justin Haley he's been a staple there. We've seen him a little bit in Cup. I will be honest. What I really liked was Jim Pullman's comments during the clash. Like all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I kind of like this guy. This guy seems like a good fit for Kyle Busch. So I don't know if he's going to have all the tools at his disposal, like he did at JRM, but I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, very extremely curious about that. We know Jim Pullman, he actually does have a little bit of Cup experience as well, too.
Yep.
He's done a few spot races for the part-time rides for RCR before, contributing for Austin Hill and Jesse Love in the past.
And in all fairness, those RCR cars were just as good as the rest, right? With less practice, less familiarity and everything. So, like I said, the vibe I got from him during the interview was like, ooh, this is a perfect little mix with Kyle Busch. So I want to see how this plays out. I cautiously optimistic, I'll put it, Sean.
Good way to put it. Next up, we got a manufacturer change for the number 41 team with Haas Factory Team. So that's Cole Custer's team. They go from Ford all the way to Chevrolet there, Rich.
We knew that was coming last year. I don't know how this plays out, but I tell you what, Ford does not have much of a group at the Cup level.
I mean, they got Penske, they got RFK, and Front Row, and that's about it.
That's it. Yep. And I think they were off on an island. Now, I don't know who Haas is going to be teaming up with now, but I did hear somewhere they had formed some sort of alliance. So we'll see how that goes. Because, I mean, in all fairness, Cole Custer at times looked better than you and I thought he would, right? I mean, I know we started using him there at points in the season for DFS because they weren't qualifying well, but he was racing okay.
Yeah, they've shown some flashes where they've been maybe a top 20 team at times.
Right. So, interesting. The next one here, Sean, this is one that I'm really kind of excited about because you've heard this name float around the garage for years, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
why don't you go ahead and mention it while we're at it?
So the number 43 Legacy Motor Club, and I'll call them by their name. They earned it last year. Eric Jones is getting a new crew chief, and Justin Alexander. Justin Alexander's been kind of all over the place. He was formerly with the RCR crew chief, on and off with Austin Dillon. I believe he was with Austin Dillon last year when they won at Richmond, was he not?
No, that would no, actually, I don't think that was the case, but really, most of Austin Dillon's Cup wins have came with Justin Alexander as his crew chief.
That's what I thought.
5 of them, actually.
Okay. So I'm curious to see this. Eric Jones just did not quite pop last year like you and I thought he would. So I'm curious to see how the shakeup goes. You know what I mean? And Legacy has kind of been trending up. Well, I don't think RCR was. And he brings a load of experience. I don't know if this is necessarily a game changer, if you will, but like I said, when you see a name like that that's been around, and he's been, man, I'm probably getting this wrong, Sean, but I swear he was in Xfinity at one point. I think even going back further than that, I think he worked was a pit crew member at one point. I could be getting him confused with someone else, and I mean that was going way back. But when these guys are around for a long time, it usually goes one to two ways: really good or really bad. So I'm kind of curious to see how this goes.
Yeah, especially after Ben Bayshore, Eric Jones' past crew chief is now ascending up the ladder at Legacy there for a competition role. So that's why the change was made right there. Then we have Rick Ware Racing. Just like Haas, they're changing manufacturers from Ford to Chevrolet as well, the number 51.
Yeah. Again, I think Ford's just not willing to put out some manufacturer money, man. I think is what it's coming down to.
Yeah, I could definitely believe that, but Chevy certainly is. That's for sure.
Which they have so
Speaking,
many cars. There can only be so much money that goes around.
yeah, seriously. Plus, they just really got a lot of that from sponsorship.
Right.
Whew. Next, we'll talk about the only rookie driver that's going to be in the field this season. The name that the NASCAR world has been very excited about. In the number 88 for Trackhouse Racing, we got a new driver in Connor Zilich, former junior motorsports driver, and his crew chief in order to help him with his rookie season is Randall Burnett. And Randall Burnett, he was Kyle Busch's old crew chief, so he goes from RCR all the way to Trackhouse there. Randall Burnett, that's a very interesting name to have a crew chief right there.
I agree, and I'm not sold this is the right mix. I don't know. Zilich was kind of spoiled last year at JRM with who he got to work with. So, top-notch equipment, top-notch crew chief, top-notch talented driver. I think maybe everybody should temper expectations of Mr. Connor Zilich, even though he showed us a little something in the Cup Series last year, because in those one-off rides, he also had some like Hall of Fame type level equipment and engineers working with him. So this one's going to be very interesting to me because Randall Burnett, nope, not knocking him, not dogging him, but he hasn't really proven much to us at this point.
I will say this, though, about Randall Burnett. I think when it comes towards the crew chiefs that have been a part of RCR within this decade, going back to 2020, the numbers don't lie that he was the best performing one.
That's true. That is true. I mean, because he was working with Reddick, right? I mean, that was who he started with.
He worked with Reddick, and then he went on to crew chief Kyle Busch the last two seasons.
Right.
Last 3 seasons.
And Kyle's been the better of the car. I mean, consistently each week, right? So, like I said, I'm curious to see this play out because I don't think it's the same level of equipment. I don't know if it's the same level of support. Will I be shocked if he and Burnett hit the ground running? Not at all. At the same time, is my expectation I think it's going to be a slow burn? Yes. I think we might want to temper expectations for Connor a little bit, especially early on. This whole, better than sliced bread stuff has not always worked out real well. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, these are drivers where really it got better for them after their first sort of round. And they were good in the other lower series. So I just throwing it out there. I know we're all going to be, I've told everyone he's going to be an icon in the sport, and I firmly believe that, but kind of want to see it, I think. You know what I mean? I'm tempering my expectations a little bit.
That being said, though, I will say that considering Connor's biggest strength is going to be road racing,
True.
Randall Burnett is a good combo for that in particular because I remember a couple of Tyler Reddick's wins with RCR came on road courses right there.
Well, let's be real. Reddick ended up being the road course guru, surpassing Chase Elliott when we got to the new car. And that, to your point, was with Randall Burnett. So I agree with you. Will I be shocked if Connor's just as dominant on the road courses? Not at all. I just don't know when we get to some of the, mile and a halves and stuff like that. I'm not going to be shocked if I see him fighting in 10th or 15th. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds about right to me too, Rich. I could definitely see him being within that 10 to 20 range, if anything.
And speaking of Trackhouse, the only other change we got in Cup Series is SVG still with Trackhouse, but he is giving up the 88 number to Mr. Connor Zilich, and he'll be taking over the 97. I'm going to like this. I know the announcer struggled with a little bit on Wednesday, but for me, it's going to be an easy right back to 97 for SVG. I think that's more fitting for him for the number. The 88 just seemed weird. I think for me, since Connor Zilich was driving for Junior and he had that in the Xfinity Series and now he's going to have it in Cup, I'm happy to see Zilich with the 88. I think he's going to do the 88 brand well. I'm glad that Junior gave the okay to bring back that style last year. Look, Junior and Mart have been great for the sport, man. They don't get stuck into holding on to nostalgia for the spirit of nostalgia. They understand the impact of it. I think Junior was excited to see that iconic 88 with the same font back on the track, and I'm happy to see him happy. You know what I mean? Like, This is good. I love SVG back in the 97. I think it fits. Give me Zilich in the 88. Let's ride.
Let's ride indeed. Do you want to cover any of the car chiefs or engineer changes at the Cup level, or should we just skip over to Xfinity or trucks? Or I mean, O'Reilly or trucks?
It's up to you, Sean, but I would much rather dig into the Cup side of things and maybe revisit the Xfinity and truck stuff later. I think from a betting and DFS standpoint, Cup takes so much of our focus. I think it's worth discussing the engineer changes on the Cup side.
Yeah, and this is information right there. You mentioned it, Rich. It's not easy to come across because because you have to follow the right people that post this kind of information too in order to get it. But there's a couple of teams that are changing engineers and a couple of teams that are making adjustments for their car chiefs. And we talk about the crew chiefs being a very big impact, but these guys can also make an impact towards any team better or worse still.
I would argue, Sean, that we don't focus enough on the engineer side of the changes because I think they make significant changes. Just because we don't hear them calling things on the pit box, I guess this is the way I'll equate it. When I look at football, the head coach matters, yes. But when I'm looking at schemes and everything, I really want to dig into the coordinators, offensive and defensive, right? And then when we start talking about quarterback development, I'm curious about the quarterback coach. When we talk about running game, I'm really curious about the offensive line coach. So I got to tell you, Sean, I think if we're looking at a betting DFS trying to project out Engel, I think we need to focus on some of these. So I'm excited you did this. I want to go over these.
All right. So with new engineers, speaking of the number one team from Trackhouse, Ross Chastain's team is going to have a new engineer with Chase Havley. And he used to be the engineer for the 99 team. That was Daniel Suarez's team last year.
That's interesting.
So a little shuffling around right there. Mm-hmm. Then we have Kaulig Racing with their 2 Cup entries, the number 10 and the number 16. They're both getting new engineers. Scott Griffin is joining the 10 team for Ty Dillon right there, brand new engineer. Basically, he was, I believe that number 10 team had more than one engineer the last year, but now I think he's taking the center duties with that. So the number 16 is getting Buster Boggs, who was the other engineer for the number 10. So now Boggs is going with the number 16 car now. That's Allmendinger's team.
I got to tell you, man, I don't like the idea of poaching these engineers from the 10 because I felt like the 10 overachieved last year.
Yeah, it certainly did at times. I mean, the 16 did as well a few times last year too, but
if you want my honest opinion, though, I felt like the 10 overachieved. We had higher expectations for the 16 than the 10. And to see the 10 kind of have equal or better speed, I think is where my mind is kind of stuck. And I didn't, like you said, they must have had 2 because Alex Bowman is also getting an engineer from the number 10 Kaulig team, which is very interesting because Hendrick is notorious for poaching good talent. So I go back to, darn, Ty Dillon, you were kind of our knight in shining armor, lucky card. You know what I mean? Like I had no problem ever punting with you. If you qualified well, that just meant low ownership, and I was fine with it. Now I'm going to be like, my expectations going into last year for the 10 are probably what my expectations for this year should be. Whereas at the end of last year, I had maybe higher expectations. I don't think I do anymore.
And you know what? Allow me to remind you, too, while we're at it, that I think you should have even lower expectations because Kaulig's not getting manufacturer support this year. They really aren't.
Right. I forgot they aren't. They did because of the whole Ram truck thing.
Yeah, they're getting a lower amount of support from Chevy on their cars this year, which means we've seen this before when teams announce that they might be going to a different manufacturer the next season. We noticed the year before it's a lame duck season, and then their cars just underperform.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Legacy Motor Club the year before they went to Toyota.
That's the exact thing I was talking about. That's how they got the soccer club name, right? So, hey, good for the engineers on the 10. Ty Dillon, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a little more down on Kaulig and Cup. That's for sure.
Yep. Yep. And I am a little intrigued to see how this works out for Mr. Bowman.
Yeah, because they mentioned it actually that they basically took apart that whole 48 team from last year and changed everybody out pretty much except for the crew chief and the
except
driver.
for the crew chief. Right. So I'll be very curious. I mean, Rick Hendrick doesn't just make changes to make changes, you know, and I'm sure Jeff Gordon's probably a big say in all this. He doesn't either, you know, so I'll be curious to see how this goes. Rick Ware Racing, along with the change of manufacturer, they're also getting the new engineer who, shocking, comes from the 33 at RCR, which was kind of the third entry at RCR, but was a Chevy. So that move makes a lot of sense to me, that you're bringing over somebody with some Chevy experience engineering to a new Chevy car. And I believe Ware does have some sort of partnership with RCR for this upcoming year.
I believe that is the case, that Rick Ware Racing has that RCR partnership, whereas I think Haas has a bit of a Hendrick partnership now, I think.
I believe you're correct on that. Something like that, yes. We'll dig into it as we get into the season. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of info Sean dug into here that really, you know, put it together. So we'll dig a little bit further into that. But yeah, that one is interesting to me. And then, you know, not a shock, Trackhouse Racing, the 88 with Connor Zilic, they had to make a change. It is interesting that they're bringing over a Ford engineer from the Truck Series. That is very interesting to me in Caleb Williams.
Not to be confused with the Bears quarterback.
Maybe he'll have the same kind of Hail Mary craziness, though, thrown across his body, and he'll just, you know, chuck a wrench at the team, and they'll know exactly what to do with it or something. Just this one is interesting. But here again, we are talking about a driver with a little bit different background. Super young, but has a wide plethora of experience from road racing to ovals, success on all the above. The kid has incredible, I call him a kid because he's super young. I should probably call him a young man. Super incredible car control. I mean, if we're talking about talent that I would compare him to me, this is pushing Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch level talent. In my opinion, they are the two most talented drivers in NASCAR. And when you watch that whole who would you want to be teammates thing, sure seemed like most people felt like Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson were the most talented drivers on the track. So I'll be curious to how this works out. Just because they were at one manufacturer versus the next doesn't matter that much. We see it happen all the time. But being a young driver, usually you see kind of a more experienced crew under them versus less. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, especially with taking someone from Lane Riggs's crew last year.
Right. That is more of a frightening thing from a Lane Riggs perspective, right? Now, who's to say they didn't do a promotion from within and it'll be, you know, nothing missed? Who knows? But it's obviously a big step to go from trucks to cup. So it seems to me somebody did a bit of their homework and was like, you know, that 38 truck with the young and experienced guy sure was fast.
Yeah, and you know, they've said before that the Truck Series might have a little bit more of a closer comparable towards the Cup car than the O'Reilly cars do these days.
Right. So it makes sense. I mean, we've seen it with Hocevar. We've seen it with Zane Smith. I won't be shocked if we see something like that with Lane Riggs coming up. If somebody like, I don't know, Alex Bowman maybe can't turn a page.
Yeah, we'll see.
Kyle Busch decides to retire.
Yeah, we'll see. But that rounds out the engineer changes. Here's all the new car chief changes now that we've got. Again, the number 10 team at Colleague Racing with Ty Dillon, they got a brand new car chief there with Troy Lankford. He used to be, this is a case of a promotion from within, though, because he was their mechanic last year, and now he's getting promoted to car chief for that team.
Yep, and we're going to see the same thing on the number 24 car with William Byron that's getting Jacob Bowman, who was also a former mechanic on the 24 team. So that's another promotion from within.
Yeah, and speaking of the promotions, we got another one here with the number 47 team of Hayek Motorsports. That's Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s team. Clint Myrick, who was also the mechanic of that car last year, is now going to be the car chief this season.
I'm very curious to see how that works out because it's a pretty typical climbing of the ladder from that position. So it's nothing crazy or out of the wheelhouse, if you will, but it's always interesting to see because the car chiefs do a lot more than people realize. And the shakeup at the 48 car continues, right? This is one that caught my eye, Sean. because most people feel like the Nines woes, Chase Elliott's Nines team, stem from Alan Gustafson, right? That's that. When you hear the scuttlebutt and people complaining, that's usually where they point to, right? Well, now they've taken the car chief from the 9 car and he's going over the 48. Maybe there's something there that they think can help jumpstart. They're clearly trying to give Alex Bowman anything and everything they can. I feel like this is a last-ditch effort to say, Bowman, prove your worth. If you don't start competing at the level that the other 3 cars do, consistent top 10s, consistently showing speed, consistently competing for wins, I got to believe Alex Bowman is going to be on his way out.
Or at the very least, maybe they might wait a year or two, or just give them a short-term deal instead of a long-term deal. So they give their next prospect or two that they're thinking of. And I know they're thinking of some other drivers. Corey Day, Raja Caruth.
Right. And Raja's not there.
Give them an opportunity yet.
I would say, and Corey Day and Raja aren't there yet, right? I mean, they're just not. So you're right. They could maybe come back for 1 more year because Alex Bowman was the test driver for Hendrick. That's how he got the job. He was the guy doing the sim and the testing work for Jimmy Johnson and
all of Hendrick back then.
Yeah, it was all
Dale
of Hendrick
Jr. and Jeff Gordon too.
Gordon, yeah, I would say Jeff and Gordon was still there too. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I want to see Alex do well. I'm just not sold it's there. And then lastly, on the car chief changes, number 71 at Spire. And Michael McDowell, we haven't, we've talked a lot about Spire today. Nothing about Michael McDowell till right now. And I find it interesting that they're getting the car chief from the 47 car. And why that's interesting to me is the areas that Michael McDowell had historically had done well was the super speedways and the road courses. But yet, you and I talked about it last year. He had been a disappointment on both those styles of tracks last year, like relative to what we've seen from him in the past. A driver who overachieved on those tracks. He's always been a good drafting track racer at Ricky Stenhouse. But his road racing got a lot better last year, in my opinion. Like, he was kind of a nice little punt option at the road courses. So to see them take the car chief from the 47 and move him over there to the 71, I think maybe we should remind ourselves that Michael McDowell might be pretty competitive at the road races again.
Yeah, and not to mention even at times that 47 car did kind of show flashes even on something like the 1.5 miles and the short tracks too.
Yes. So that's going to be an interesting hire. We'll see how that plays out. Sean, I mean, we got a lot more info. I don't know that. I mean, it would probably take us another good half hour, 45 minutes. I don't know that that's worthwhile. I'll welcome your opinion. I do have a couple of thoughts on futures I want to throw out if you want to talk about those.
Yeah, why don't we talk about futures and betting right there too? For anybody that's interested in the other information regarding O'Reilly or the Truck Series, how about we give the listeners and viewers an opportunity to at us in the Discord channels in order to get that info exclusively?
I think that's a great idea. That means you have to be a member at fantasyguru.com. So head over to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe button, because guess what? With all your memberships, you get access to our Discord. Ask everybody in Discord if you want the most, because the way racing is, the qualifying so close to the race, most of our updates and betting, we do our best in the articles and the cheat sheets. But really, if you want the insight and you want to win, you got to be with us in the Discord. We have some, I wouldn't call them watch parties, but we do watch and talk amongst us. What's great about our racing Discord, it's not full of a bunch of jerks. Our racing Discord is I wouldn't say full. We got room for more, but I love all the guys in our racing Discord. Hey, Fuzzy and I have butted heads. I still love you, Fuzzy. And I want to see you back and winning money. OGB Snacks, you motivate league like a mofo. And I know, oh, shoot. Our
like
buddy that's
Kenobi
always sending
or
us,
Taco Todd.
I would say Taco Todd. We always love hearing from you, but Kenobi, I'm feeling it this year, buddy. I know you keep chasing them whales, buddy, and we're getting close. But
G Humboldt as well.
Yep. I've tweaked a little bit. I'm taking some from Mark, but hey, join us over there. Chime in. We'll gladly talk about these guys with you in the Discord. So I think that's a fantastic idea. I want to throw this out there before we get into the future bets.
All right,
my gut shot future bet, before I found out some news recently, I was all in on Denny Hamlin. Now, here's the problem. His odds, he's the second favorite. His odds are like plus 450. I don't want to do a future bet on a NASCAR championship this early in the season and only get 4 back on my money. I know for football that seems like a lot. For racing, it really doesn't. We can get 10 back our money on chasing race winners, okay? Here's why I want to wait on Denny Hamlin, okay? So Denny Hamlin, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he completely dominated Phoenix. He openly admitted that he did some changes to his preparation for Phoenix. Like he went back and watched video. He pulled telemetry. He literally did a pile of homework that he said he's never done before for that race because he knew that was a shot to get it all. It worked. I know he didn't go home with the trophy, but nobody was better that day than Denny Hamlin. He led 200 and some laps, dominated. I think he knows what worked to find an edge. I think we might see this at other tracks this year. I will not be shocked. I don't know that Denny has it in him to do it at every track we go to. Maybe he does. But I will not be shocked if there's a handful of tracks, particularly tracks that we go to in the chase. Maybe we go to early in the year that he does this. So there's a reason I'm on Denny Hamlin. That said, the poor man needs shoulder surgery. He hurt his shoulder, and then while going through the debris during the fire where he lost his dad and his mom ended up in the hospital, he took a fall and injured his shoulder, tore his rotator cuff. I've had that similar surgery before. He's had it before. The problem is 3 to 4 month heal time is even small. Mine was longer than that. Granted, swimming's a little bit different than race car driving. Here's the thing about it. That injury is more of a pain tolerance thing than an actual strength and do anything with it, okay? And I will say this. Shifting, I do not see as a problem. You might think it would be because of the shoulder movement, but shoulders moving back and forth, not a big deal. The shoulder is an interesting joint because of the range of motion. You can't even do this with your hip. It's an actually floating joint. It doesn't actually sit in anything. So it can stretch and do these different things that other joints don't. Where you're going to see an issue is this motion. This is going to be a problem for him at places. Where I potentially see that being a bigger issue, the short tracks. We're going to have more laps and more tighter of doing this, okay? Now, look, he's going to have all the doctors. He's going to be taking what he can for pain. Maybe they inject it with – I won't be shocked if he has a cortisone injection. That's what they did for me. So I want to wait for the odds to grow a little bit, Sean. I still think Denny should be a favorite, but because of this injury, my expectations have been tempered. The next one I would throw at you would be Christopher Bell.
Yeah, I do like me some Christopher Bell a lot as well. I think the chase format, if there was going to benefit anybody, I think Christopher Bell is one of the first names I immediately thought of.
Bell, Byron, and Hamlin, in my opinion, are the ones that I'm most interested in.
I'd say Chase Elliott is another name to throw out there with how consistent he's been over the last season or two as well.
That's fair, but I can't seem to get excited for Redneck Jesus. I just can't quite get there. You know what I mean? If I was good, another one that I'm really gravitating to right now is Briscoe. I think Larson's got to be in the conversation. I think that's a given. But boy, Briscoe really showed me something at the end of last year, Sean. I mean, after he talked about that he knew he had to get used to the cars, and I'll pull up the odds. I'll pull up the odds so you guys know what these are. But
so I got FanDuel Sportsbook up here, which has better odds than DraftKings Sportsbook does for Briscoe, actually. So DraftKings has him at 9-1. You can get him for 10-1 at FanDuel.
Oh, look at you go.
And also, Denny's a little bit better there, too. He's at plus 650 compared to plus 450 on DK.
And here's what's funny. I looked at the odds back when, and I didn't even forget. And shame on me. All these guys are the top favorites, okay? On DraftKings right now, Kyle Larson, 4-1, plus 400. Denny Hamlin, 4.5-1, as John mentioned. William Byron, 5.5-1. Christopher Bell, 6-1. Elliott, 750-1. Briscoe, 9-1. I think
we shouldn't discount Ryan Blaney either, too.
I agree. I agree with you there. I think that, look, he almost won it this past year. I mean, it was looking that way. He's 8.5-1. Now, I don't know if FanDuel's better on all these, Sean, because I can't get my FanDuel app to work.
It's 2026 and Rich is still having issues with FanDuel. Some things don't never change, huh?
They keep saying it's hacked, and it's not. I have no idea what the hell's going on with it. There's no money in it. So if whoever wants to hack my FanDuel account, there's no credit card linked to it. You can't get any money from me from it. There's no money to it. So I don't know what's going on with that account. And the thing is I'm not even in love with DraftKings. OGB Snacks and Fuzzy keep throwing me those Bet 365 and ESPN bet lines because those lines I love. I don't get them all the time because they all make you log in with an address, and I'm in a no fun state.
Well, there is a way that if you go through the proper results through Google, you can actually bypass that, though, I found, and at least view the odds.
Hey, Sean, I'm old. Remember that. I'm not savvy with technology like you are. It's amazing I get a camera, a microphone, and a computer to work. In fact, my computer is so old, I have to get a new one because it's no longer being backed up because I refuse to put the new Windows on it because the last time I did a new Windows update, it completely crashed everything, and I refuse to crash this before I get a new one. So I'm on ancient technology here, Sean. So maybe I just should start just driving to Illinois, and then I can do whatever I want.
Hey, that's a good plan right there.
We'll work on it.
We'll figure something out.
I guess my point on the futures is don't be betting these futures yet. Take note of these names. Sounds like Sean and I are kind of on the same page, which that usually means we're not far off. When Sean and I, especially when me, Sean, and Mark are all together, look the F out. So here's what I'm saying. These odds, I know they'll get worse because when we checked these same drivers last year mid-season, we were looking at 7-1 odds, 8-1 odds on a lot of these guys because they had a couple of bad races or whatever. Let's see how Denny Hamlin handles these short tracks. Because if he's great everywhere else and struggles at the short tracks, we need to really keep that in mind because the Chase is going to have all the tracks in them, road courses and short.
There is one other thing that does get me worried about Hamlin, though, and this is something you haven't brought up yet. And this was bigger news towards the end of the year / the offseason that came out. But you do realize, though, that JGR, they don't have their competition director, Chris Gapart, anymore.
Oh, crap. I forgot about that. Where did he go? He retired?
Well, there was rumors suggesting that he may be going to Spire, but he has not announced anything publicly yet.
Oh, he's totally going to Spire. Now all this Spire excitement and Carson Hocevar stuff makes sense. He's going to be at Spire. Right there.
They haven't said anything yet, though.
I tell you what, it's not confirmed, but I'm going to put my nuts on it. He's going to Spire, and I'm going to put my nuts on it that Spire's going to take a jump forward. Because if I remember correctly, he has connections with sponsors, does he not?
Chris Gapart, he used to be Hamlin's crew chief until this past season. And pretty much that whole tenure that Gapart was with Denny was having some of his best seasons ever. So,
Spire, I guess cheers to you guys.
Unless he's just taking a year off or something and just figuring something out. But I don't know.
If you do want a long shot futures bet, okay, and I am not saying you put much on it, give me Carson Hocevar.
He's at 50-1 on DK right now as it is. And on FanDuel, you can bump that up to 60-1.
Throw a buck on it to get an easy $60 or something. Like, I'm not sure it happens, but if we're going to talk about excitement, speed, all of that, I don't know, Sean, 50 or 60-1. I'm not above putting a little something on that.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad call. I do think that Hocevar is kind of a dark horse in order to make the chase this year. I'm really feeling.
Agreed. I tell you what, if you can find lines on who's going to make the chase, which we probably don't have yet, I won't be shocked if the books come out with something like that. That would be something to look at hitting early.
Oh, I absolutely would bet that if there was anything about him just making the chase.
I would love to do a Priest and Busher one that way too.
100%. with you on both of those right there, especially Priest, because that would definitely be plus odds, and he's clearly already showcased what he can do when finally everything comes together, even if it is wild circumstances. Yeah. And we've been touting Ryan Priest all last season. I'm telling you,
Right?
we're not going to stop
Right?
touting him.
No, and I do think RFK will be better this year. I am worried about Brad. I'm sure he'll get his NASCAR license in time, but I don't know the broken leg, how well he's going to be. But there's a reason he didn't run this past week, right? So I'm a little nervous about that. What's with these guys skiing breaking legs? Like, I skied a long time, man, and I didn't break legs. So maybe I should stop skiing before I do. I don't know. Because, I mean, Michael Schumacher, the poor man, has a TBI from a skiing incident, and he had a helmet on.
Yeah, and it was only just recently that we've been starting to hear from Michael Schumacher again, finally.
I haven't even done that. We've been hearing from him. I need to go look that up.
That he's even getting out of bed.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Well, he's still not talking to anybody publicly, but he's at least not bedridden anymore, from what I've heard.
I'm happy to see Mick in IndyCar, though. Go Mick. I'm excited to see. Not going to lie, we might have to rope in some IndyCar stuff for the RaceGuru Thunder Hour, Sean, because I'm kind of excited for IndyCar this year.
Well, I'm sure you'll appreciate the fact that we called this Race Guru instead of NASCAR Guru, because we can get away with talking about that. And
as you pointed out, we've been kind of fired with our Indy 500 stuff.
Yeah, even last year, we ended up, what was it? We called like the winner, or we called like a near winner on a long shot too?
No, we called the winner the last 2 years as part of our bets. And I believe we called the top 5 or top 3 last year, because you sent me a message going, this is 2 years in a row that we've been pretty fire on the Indy 500, because you made the joke that for whatever it is, the big races, we seem to find something when it gets to the big races for some reason.
Yeah, that's usually the case. I mean, we talked about your history with the Coca-Cola 600 and how on point you've been with that for the most part, too.
Dude, I told you, Memorial Day weekend's my jam, man. I've got memories from being 5 years old at racetracks that weekend. So I will be cocky when it comes to the races that weekend, because there is not 2 races I have spent more time in track time at and been on track. I've driven race cars on both those tracks. I have seen qualified both those tracks. I've watched years and years of racing live at those tracks. I've been behind pit wall at Charlotte. Yeah, dude, they're my jam. I can't lie. So Memorial Day weekend, I got it circled as always, buddy. Hopefully I don't jinx myself with the hot streak, but I'm going to continue to do what I do and watch like we do and make the same advice. But yeah, with the IndyCar, being on NBC and the way they're kind of offsetting weekends and this free race at 4th of July weekend, I can't lie, Sean, if we start seeing, because there are some betting lines for IndyCar. I did check. There are some betting lines. I don't know that we'll get DFS, but maybe we can start looping in a little bit of IndyCar, because this is the race, as Sean pointed out, Guru Thunder Hour.
Yeah, and you know what? You might have to point me towards where they're having those lines, because I'm very curious to look towards more of that too. Speaking of lines right here, I'm going to close out with this and talk about the fact that DraftKings Sportsbook, as of us doing this right here, they also have some season props up for total race wins as well there, Rich.
Can you see that? Maybe not.
So,
these are... Oh, my bad. These are only Indy 500 race lines.
Yeah, it looks... I'm seeing, as far as IndyCar is concerned, just championship odds and
Indy 500.
Indy 500.
Hey, we'll hold our breath. We'll hope and pray, Sean.
Yeah, just give it our best there.
I'm sorry to rain on the parade, man. Now I feel like a douche.
You couldn't predict that. Give yourself a little bit of leeway.
Well, close this out, Sean. I didn't mean to interrupt. You were on a fireball stance here, so finish it up. My apologies, sir.
So we can also take a look here at DraftKings Sportsbook about their total race wins season props right here too. And I think that's also very interesting to look at as well with some of these props that they have up here. Basically, they have a line set with different drivers predicting how many wins they'll get across the whole season right here that you can bet on right now. So some of these are very interesting. Like if you wanted to let me see here.
Ooh, they're saying Brad's not getting a win.
Yeah. Get even money for just Brad getting a win right there.
That sounds kind of fun. Wow, they're giving Chase 3.
I like this one right here. We talked about him earlier too, and about that championship bet is a long shot there, but they're not even saying the line for Carson Hocevar is just even him getting a single victory.
I know, dude. That was one that I was looking at too. I'm going,
Plus 130 for him to just even get one victory this year. I actually would probably place something on that right there.
Another one I would consider is Ty Gibbs over half at plus 110.
That's not bad either. Not bad at all.
I tell you what, I'm not touching William Byron over 3.5. Do I think he gets 4? Probably, but at just even money, I am not telling anyone to do that.
Oh, yeah. That could go either way right there.
Oh, look at Kyle Larson. They are juicing that. Over 4.5 plus 135. Under minus 190. Ugh. Don't go chasing that, kids.
I'm not even touching that one.
Oh, my God. They don't think Kyle Busch gets a win this year. 1.5 times your money for one win? Oh, I would do that.
If I was going to suggest any driver having a multi-win season right there that could legitimately get it done, I actually do have some intriguing thoughts about Ryan Blaney with 3.5 right there. I think he might be able to get to 4.
But I mean, I hate that. It's getting to 4 is tough, and if you do, that only pays 1.5. Like I would rather chase, or not even 1.5, 1.35 plus 135. I would much rather chase Kyle Busch at 1.5. Just get me one win, because I could see him pulling it off at a super speedway. I could see him pulling it off at a short track. I could see him pulling it off even at a road course. So I would love to just chase Kyle Busch for one win.
That's pretty fair. I think there's a few tracks where I think he can get it done too. Well, Sean, this has been a blast. We should probably wrap this up. Hey, if you're tuning in and you're on YouTube or something like that, please head over to fantasyguru.com, click subscribe, check out all the packages. If you don't see some that fits for you, reach out to our support at fantasyguru.com. Jeff, Rusty, or Ted, one of them will probably help you out. They always help everyone out. Whisper sweet nothings. Don't be rude. Be nice to them. They're nice people. I love all three of those guys. Ted's a little rough around the edges, I know. And he probably thinks I'm a dumbass, but it's fine. But I do love those guys. So be nice. Ask politely. We look to take care of y'all. If you want the racing and some of the other stuff, hey, it's a year-long package. We got you covered. If you want to test this out and check out baseball, I highly recommend it, because it is going to get baseball season here real quick. And don't forget, we do have the Super Bowl guide out last time to get bets in for the big game this weekend. If you're in a betting area, highly recommend it, because there's a lot of fun bets we talk about there, and go over there and we keep posting them and keep listing them. And hey, if you're a basketball fan, Jeff has been all over. Jeff and Finsty have been all over the basketball bets. And Finsty knows his stuff, man. Tune into the Fantasy Sports Daily. He's doing that, talking basketball, Race talking baseball. Hey, it's a new year, Sean. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf and not be so negative on NASCAR. So we're going to give this a shot. What do you say? Yeah, I say let's go forth and get it done. Give it a shot.
Let's go win some money. So, hey, hit us up in Discord at Rich Maletto, at Sean Engel. Please give Sean a follow on Twitter at SeanE247, SeanE247. You can look for me. I wouldn't follow me at Fantasy Bosco. Tread lightly. I'm a dad. But beyond that, hey, we welcome you to the NASCAR season. We're looking forward to a new season. Enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend. Thank you to the Elite Plus Network and Jeff Manson crew for allowing us to do this, and fantasyguru.com. Until next time, peace.